All right, welcome into the Stadium Showdown. Chris Fry live in the 19 News Digital Studios on this Friday evening. Thanks for joining us. Before we get to all the happenings of this week, we've got some big breaking news involving the ownership group with the Browns and the city of Cleveland. A lot to sift through. Our Dan DeRose with this breaking news right now.
Most of what's in this report we already knew. It's what the city and the Haslams spoke about from City Hall. The $100 million that the Browns, the Haslams have to give the city. The fact that the Browns are going to be responsible for tearing down the stadium. But there was a new section we had not heard before, and here it is. A lot of legalese. Let's just go through it. The parties agree that the lease between the Browns and the city expires on February 1st, 2029. We knew that. But, there's the but. This was the new part. That the Browns will have an option, subject to an amendment to the current lease, to extend the lease on the same terms for a period of 1 year. Goes a little bit further. The Browns may exercise this extension option not more than twice, such that the lease shall be not extended beyond February 1st of 2031. What does this mean, Dan? You're asking, is complicated? No, it just means that the Browns have executed a safety net, a parachute, a piece of insurance. If they can't get the stadium done in Brook Park in 2029, they have an option to play downtown for 2 more years through 2031. You can see that the city wants this done. They said this is it, nothing beyond 2031, because the city wants that stadium knocked down, because Justin Bibb, Mayor Bibb, wants that lakefront developed as soon as possible. There was another part that this is just the temporary settlement terms. They want to sign the full settlement, have it all done, locked in place by November 24th, so a couple of months from now. Going to be interesting to watch this play out, but again, the Brook Park mayor, maybe not real happy about this announcement. He has contested there will be no delays. They will be ready to go, and the Browns will be playing in Brook Park in 2029. We'll just have
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Duffy. I'm in for Jeff Slauson. Welcome to episode 31 now of Stadium Showdown. And is this a historic episode? Well, maybe. That's what they're calling a deal between the Haslam Sports Group, the city of Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb, $100 million going from the Haslam Sports Group to the city of Cleveland for various projects, including tearing down that stadium. But what this is doing is pushing this project another step forward. Let's go to Caitlin McCarthy, who has the story of this deal between the Browns and the city of Cleveland.
Both the city of Cleveland and the Haslams have agreed to drop all the lawsuits, which paves a clear path to build a dome in Brook Park, including the $100 million commitment. The Haslams will demolish the current stadium here on the lakefront to make more room for development. The estimated cost is $30 million. Here's the breakdown of the payout. By December 1st, the Haslams will give the city $25 million. Then, starting on January 1st of 2029, the city will get $5 million each year until 2033, totaling $25 million. Once the team's lease is up, Haslam Sports Group will invest no less than $2 million per year for the next 10 years on mutually agreed community benefit projects, totaling $20 million. Here's Mayor Justin Bibb.
I know we all have fond memories of the stadium being downtown on our lakefront. I have many of those memories, and I know our residents do as well too. But today starts a new chapter where we're going to have a world-class lakefront that we can use every single day of the year.
And Mayor Bibb has long said it's been his goal to revitalize the lakefront. I asked the Haslams if they'll have a say in what it'll look like. They tell me it'll be up to the city to decide that. Reporting in downtown Cleveland, Caitlin McCarthy, 19 News.
All right, some really good information there from Caitlin McCarthy. This is a very interesting deal now between the Haslam Sports Group and the city of Cleveland. Let's run through some of the particulars. I know Caitlin touched on it on an overview, but here's how this is going to look, the breakdown of the payout. By December 1st, the Haslams will give the city $25 million. Then starting on January 1st of 2029, when this stadium is supposed to open up, the city will get $5 million each year until 2033. That's a total of another $25 million. Now, once the team's lease is up, the Haslam Sports Group will invest no less than $2 million per year for the next 10 years on mutually agreed upon community benefit projects totaling $20 million. All of this now is going to add up to that $100 million, including the $30 million that Caitlin talked about to tear that stadium down, the one on the lakefront now, bury it, get rid of it, and make it pad ready for the lakefront development that the city of Cleveland is interested in doing. Now, a lot of people talking about this deal. $100 million is a lot of money, and it is a lot of money when you consider that the Haslam Sports Group really does not owe the city of Cleveland anything. They can just move to Brook Park and say, see you later, you guys deal with the fallout. Of course, some in the city may have gone with another lawsuit if that happened. We can tell you who is not happy right now. Certain members of City Council, including Mike Polensek and Brian Casey.
And yet we're supposed to jump for joy and say, man, we got a good deal here. We got the shaft. We got the upper and the lower radiator hose. Quote me on that one. We got the shaft.
November 6th, 1995. Some of you may know that date in Cleveland history. It was the day that Art Modell had announced that he was moving the team out of Cleveland. And every politician in the city of Cleveland, from that day until they came back, was blamed. Every politician, from downstate to the halls of City Hall. And nothing has changed. Mayor Bibb, I thought that I could never be gut punched as hard as I could on that day until I heard the announcement earlier today. You have lied with the dogs, and now you have fleas.
Well, so you heard from Polensek and Casey there. Interesting to note that this is not a done deal until council signs off on this. So we are moving forward. We took a step, but it is not completely wrapped up. And you heard Casey talk about the gut punch he felt he took back in 1995 when the Browns moved. He compared the two. That'll be a good debate on if those two are actually comparable. But we went back to the 19 News archives to that time back in 1995 and thought, well, maybe you'd want to hear from Paris Glendening, who, of course, was the governor of Maryland when the Browns left Cleveland and went to Baltimore.
This is a great day for the state of Maryland, and I've got to tell you personally, this is a great day to be governor. You all know that I have said repeatedly during the course of the last several months that I would not stand before the cameras, I would not stand before the people of Maryland until I had a signed contract in hand. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a signed contract in hand. The Browns are indeed coming to Baltimore.
This has been a very, very tough road for my family and for me. I leave Cleveland, Ohio, 35 years, and leave my heart, a good part of my heart and soul there. I can never forget the kindness of the people of Cleveland, the fans that supported the Browns for years. But frankly, it came down to a simple proposition. I had no choice. I will not get into that today. This is not the time for it, but I will address with greater detail at a news conference in Dallas tomorrow. I'm delighted to be here. I look for a new beginning for my family, for my associates. my employees. I'm not exactly a stranger to the legacy of the Baltimore Colts. I was in the league when they dominated the scene in the late 50s, early 60s. Sort of grew up with Unitas and Marchetti, Artie Donovan, Ray Berry, who ended up as an assistant coach with the Browns, Lenny Moore, Bobby Boyd, some wonderful players. And I know what you went through 11 years ago, because that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland right now. And I am deeply, deeply sorry from the bottom of my heart. And I see some of my former beat writers from Cleveland sitting out here, and I want to thank them for all they've done for me over the years.
All right, well, if you were around back then when Art Modell ripped the Browns out of Cleveland, you can remember those words. I remember watching that as it happened in Baltimore. It was awful then. We've got to keep in perspective that the Browns are technically moving from the city of Cleveland, but they're moving to Brook Park. They will still be here for all of us to enjoy, without a doubt, and in a beautiful new stadium if and when it gets built. All right, the city of Brook Park, are they ready for this big development? They better be, because it's going to be coming, and it's going to be coming very soon. Brittany Weir will have that story when Stadium Showdown continues. Welcome back to Stadium Showdown. Now, when you think about this deal between the city of Cleveland and the Haslam Sports Group, you immediately start thinking about Brook Park and how they are dealing with this. And the community in the middle, the man in the middle, Brook Park and their mayor, Edward Orcutt. Are they ready now as this gets closer and closer to being a reality? Our Brittany Weir had the opportunity to speak with the mayor of Brook Park.
Yes, Mayor Edward Orcutt is not shying away from anybody who wants to speak out about this multi-billion-dollar project, which you can see is well underway here in Brook Park. He said he's happy to share facts with anyone who might have questions about what this new stadium is going to bring to the region. Ultimately, he said he's just happy that the Haslams and Mayor Justin Bibb have put aside their differences, essentially paving the way for this next big step. The Brook Park mayor responding to the $100 million agreement announced Monday between the city of Cleveland and the Haslam Sports Group. For months, the city has tried to fight the move to the suburbs. They even filed a number of lawsuits to stop the deal. Now all that fighting has essentially come to an end. However, some people, including Cleveland City Council members, still are not happy about it, saying that the Browns' new stadium will have a substantial impact on traffic, especially near the airport.
Sometimes what becomes very attractive is the negative story, or somebody can just grab a microphone and say whatever, even though that they're not part of the project and haven't been. What I will do is provide facts every single day, and what I'll tell you today is that Davey Resource Group, who's been providing us information on this traffic study, has been working with the traffic engineers that are working with the airport.
He says anyone who has concerns about traffic here around the new site should not be worried. Because of the enhancements they plan to make, the day-to-day traffic will actually be less than what it is today. In Brook Park, Brittany Weir, 19 News.
Welcome back to Stadium Showdown. You have the City of Cleveland, Mayor Justin Bibb, ready to move forward. The Haslam Sports Group ready to move forward. Not everyone in council is ready to move forward. And certainly the county executive, Chris Ronayne, has dug his heels in, and they remain dug in. We went to the county executive for a statement. We wanted to hear what he had to say after this deal with the Haslam Sports Group was announced. He said, from the beginning, I have said a stadium relocation is bad economic policy that will have negative impacts on our region. My administration has not and will not financially support a move out of Cleveland. We are now focused on mitigating negative impacts the stadium project will have on our suburban communities and Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. In other words, the county executive, Chris Ronayne, is not budging. He does not see this as good for Cuyahoga County or good for Northeast Ohio. Now, there still are some legal ramifications. The deal between the Haslam Sports Group and the City of Cleveland may, when it's ratified, get some of those lawsuits off the book, but they're not all gone. Our legal expert, Alyssa Belli, here when we come back on Stadium Showdown. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to this edition of Stadium Showdown. We've spent a lot of time in this show talking about this $100 million deal between the City of Cleveland and the Haslam Sports Group and what it all means from a financial situation. Now we need to know what it means from a legal situation. So we go to our legal expert here, Alyssa Belli. Hi, Alyssa. And, okay, take us through this. There's multiple lawsuits still on the books between the city and the Haslam Sports Group. Are they going away? When are they going away? Where do we stand?
That's right. So last we spoke, we talked about 5 lawsuits, and 3 of those now are going to be impacted by this agreement. We've got the lawsuit in federal court that the Browns filed against the city challenging the Modell law. Then we've got the one in common pleas that the city filed trying to enforce the Modell law. And then that most recent one, which is the city suing ODOT, appealing the decision to move forward with the Brook Park Stadium. According to the terms of this agreement, those 3 will be voluntarily dismissed by the parties.
Okay, but not everybody agrees with that, right?
No, not everybody is agreeing with that. So as of today, we heard that City Council President is not pleased, and there's a memo that's been circulated that we've reached out to receive that is asking them to halt any movement with dismissing these lawsuits.
Asking specifically the law director.
Yes, saying that the law director should not move forward with this. Now, we heard from the mayor's office. The mayor's office tells us that the law director is the one with the overarching authority to dismiss these lawsuits. Right, so basically, in essence, city council can do nothing about these lawsuits between the 2 parties. That is what it appears.
And it is the law director's decision.
It's his authority, correct.
Okay, that clears that up for now. For now.
For now.
For now.
For now.
So let's talk about the lawsuit that was filed by former Cleveland mayor,
Yes.
former Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Where does that stand?
So for him, this isn't over. He wrote the original Art Modell law. He filed this lawsuit on behalf of taxpayers, and he's saying, A, the Browns are still in violation of the original Modell law, but B, he is also suing the city of Cleveland because he's not pleased with the way that they've defended and tried to uphold the Modell law. So that's still pending. That's very early on, that lawsuit. And then there's another one, and it's in Columbus. And this one's interesting. It's now been moved to federal court, and it's challenging the constitutionality of using the unclaimed funds to pay for the stadium. And again, now that that's just been filed, the parties are set to appear in a couple weeks before the judge, but there's really no activity yet, so we still got to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. How could that ultimately affect this deal? Do we even know yet?
It's unclear. They're asking for a number of things. One would be an injunction, a halt on moving forward, which could definitely pose an issue. But then by the same token, the Haslam's may pursue other avenues for funding.
Okay, now you mentioned that Blaine Griffin is trying to get these lawsuits to slow this whole process down, and probably doesn't really have the authority to do that. Council does have authority to do a couple of things, though. We heard from the city just today on Friday. City Council must authorize certain aspects of the agreement, such as demolition of city-owned property, which the stadium is, and the acceptance of donations to the city. Donations to the city, boy, that is a significant phrase, because that is in essence what the Haslams are doing, giving the city $100 million to kind of make this all go away. The terms will be included as part of a broader legislation that the administration plans to introduce during Monday's city council meeting. Not a lot of legal issues to that, but that gives city council that little leeway still
Absolutely.
to have their little part of power that they still want to have.
Absolutely. And I want to note, this isn't a done deal with respect to the 3 suits locally, because currently on the docket are motions request to pause. They're saying they've signed a term sheet, but nothing's been finalized. So unless and until we see that executed agreement and those cases dismissed, as of right now, they still exist. They're just pressed on pause.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Alyssa, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. A lot of ground to cover, and we think we did it. That was episode 31 of Stadium Showdown. Until next time, I'm Brian Duffy. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to this edition of Stadium Showdown. We've spent a lot of time in